Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome everybody here to the Lakers Lounge podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, senior Lakers insider and lead Lakers content creator for Offside, joined by Raj Chipalu, junior Lakers insider.
Whichever it is.
My colleague at Offside as well, and frequent co-host here. And we are joined by Daman Rangoola, who, Daman, I'm just going to be upfront about the reason I have you on the pod today. You are the sharpest business mind that I know. And when you get this kind of an organizational shakeup, I want to poke at that business brain of yours. So, but you know him, he helps with Chatechery and it's just kind of behind the scenes in a lot of the smart stuff out there. So, Daman, welcome to the show. How you holding up, bud?
Thanks, man. Thanks. Crazy day, fun day to there's never a dull day in Lakerland.
11-4, cruising along, enjoying life. And Jeannie just Game of Thrones to her two younger brothers. I actually want to start there. And, the longer that I've done this, the more that the kind of fan sentiment has kind of seeped away. And the more that I cover these people and I talk to these people, the less and less, like once I've seen how the sausage was made, I've been less interested in eating sausage in that same way. and so like I kind of wanted to start in from the kind of perspective that you're talking about there, Daman, in that like from just purely as fans, and it was kind of an interesting day because of the recent kind of flops of their last couple of picks. So I think there's some more context to take into account there, that fans today were kind of like, okay, yeah, let's move it. If this would have happened 5 years ago, there'd have been a big deal. So just from a fan perspective, Daman, I'm going to start with you. Like, how did this news land on your doorstep?
It's weird because there's no element of the Lakers organization, just speaking about the organization, that I would say is world-class and like can't be beat. And, we got to make sure everything stays the same because it's so great. I would never say that. And one of the reasons that there was optimism after the sale to Mark Walter was to improve the organization at every level and expand investment and all that stuff. What I'll say though is when that change starts to happen, and we can get into the reasons and who did what and all that. Yeah. When that actually happens, there still is like an unsettling feeling because it's like, so change is happening. What does this actually going to look like? And you look at, and it all goes to the, this new ownership situation and the question, because nobody knows what kind of ownership there'll be. We're optimistic for a lot of good reasons looking at track record, but we've seen very, very, very successful business people come in and running sports teams, and there's optimism that follows it. And look at the Sacramento Kings right now. I'm not saying like this anything crazy. I'm just speaking to an unease of an angst. It's almost like a nervous excitement about what's next. It could go really bad. It could get really interesting. This is the first time we're really going to see the new ownership group put their imprint on the team. Again, if they were involved or if they spearheaded this change today, it's kind of irrelevant. What happens now to fill those holes will be the first time we really get to see what are they about. And so there's like a nervous kind of excitement, I think, that I'm feeling right now as a fan.
It is funny that we do the thing where it's like, fuck it, tear it up from the roots, get rid of everybody, get them out of here, stop being a mom and pop shop. Then it's like the first thing happens, no, not there, like not right. That one. Right. Raj, how'd you take in today's news?
I thought we were breaking down LeBron's playmaking from the Utah Jazz game.
Raj just got film cut up.
Yeah, that's what I was prepared for. No, it's not that shocking to me as someone who was at all these South Bay games, right? And those two were very prevalent figures over there, and they weren't there for a lot of the games. At least the home games that I went to this time, I did not see them there, and that was kind of interesting. And that's something that piqued my interest. But I think they were good at their jobs. Now, I'm not in the room. I have no idea. Like, none of us are, who picks what player, right? Who drafted Jalen Hood-Schifino, who drafted Dalton Connect. We aren't there. We aren't the ones that know the exact decisions. But I think they have enough of a track record where I at least trusted them to do their part of their job. And it was interesting reading the Dan Wojcicki conversation today, and I thought it was very interesting that they were very
really good.
We have no idea what's happening at the top. We find out with you is basically what they're saying. We're finding out through the media. We're finding out through Shams what happens at the top of our organization. And that's just fascinating to me. I mean, their last name is BUSS. Like that, you know what I mean? Like the Lakers are in their bloodline, at least right before the sale happened. It was in their bloodline to now be at the point, and they're still going to be, they still have their ownership stake, but they're effectively out of the organization other than just the check that comes in a few weeks. And that's so interesting to me. Two people who I don't know them at all. I've never, no real conversations with them, but they do feel like people who do love basketball, like they are involved in youth basketball. They talked about kind of the love of and again, to be at South Bay games, to me, you have to, like, I love going there, but that's still an experience that you have to love the game to be a part of that process, right? To be part of the scouting, to go to know which two ways to sign, to go find a guy like Kobe Buffkin and be like, hey, that's a guy I'm interested in. That's a guy that I see real talent in to bring in. And, my last thing on this, like, their losses have been loud, right? In terms of today, people mentioning the JHS and O's, but I think like the Jordan Goodwins don't get enough conversations. Jr., Jay Huff, like these are players that they found, in my opinion, that, have worked out. So, we'll see who the Lakers hire next. Hopefully the check is big enough to go get anybody, but I do think those two are at least good enough at their jobs where it's still a question of, does that improve, whoever they bring in.
It's funny because, they were, I think, very good. They're kind of like the Doc Rivers of scouting, in that, like, when the expectations were low, it was a lower pick, and you're trying to get every ounce of whatever you can out of a tougher spot to draft from. They actually have a really good track record there. But when you get a little higher into the draft and those expectations start climbing a little bit, that's where they kind of struggled a little bit, right? And you could make the argument, and Jesse did too, Dan, today, that, with those higher picks, they were less involved. And maybe that is, something to take into account here. But, the reason I say the Doc Rivers thing is because there are very few coaches better than Doc when, like, Giannis is out. They're currently, right, like, as we are talking, without Giannis, they are in a very good game against the Philadelphia 76ers, who have been good this year. But when those expectations get a little higher and the pressure starts mounting, it's like, oh, there's Glenn. There he is. He went from Doc to Glenn, just like that. And it's I don't know. I too am kind of going to miss them. I liked the idea of them eventually taking over, but the place that my brain actually went first, and let me know if you guys think that, if you guys follow with this logic, Lakers sold, right? That we know. They sold with a vote of 4-2. That we also know, that has been reported. We don't know the specifics on who voted what, but we can deduce some stuff. First off, the Lakers would not have sold if Jeanie voted no. It was basically, like, mathematically impossible to arrive at the number of votes that you would need without Jeannie's support. And she has also publicly stated that she voted yes. Janie votes the way that Jeanie does, by proxy. And then John and Jesse, John, see all these J names, John and Jim, they had previously voted to sell the team, and they were still on the same page with Jeanie in this endeavor, leaving the only two votes as Joey and Jesse that you can deduce were no. And to me, my thought went to, if I'm Mark Walter And if I'm buying the Lakers, I want that vote to be unanimous, especially if I'm going to remain partners with the BUSS family after I take over. And with those guys, not even because there's no, like, you're not going to win. Like, there's no point in voting no there. There is nothing to gain by voting no. And if I'm Mark Walter and I'm like, wait, these guys can't get on the same page on the first page of the book together, these guys got to go. And it was basically as simple as that. So when people were asking why now, why in the middle of the season, all of the stuff, to me, it was as simple as these guys said, bleep you to Mark Walter, first opportunity that they got in this new position that he holds. Daman, do you think I'm reading that situation correctly?
So I do think that is definitely, like, it's very insightful. I definitely agree with everything you said. And I do think that at this stage, like, Mark Walter, this is basically, we can say, first act of ownership in a way that is going to be felt. It doesn't seem like this is the right time for him to exert his voice. I think that this was as close to a perfect hand-in-hand, Jeannie, Rob, Mark Walter, everybody is just totally aligned on this. Like, hey, we got to get rid of these guys. And I do think that the reasons you stated, this doesn't strike me as they're looking at each draft pick and giving a B, C grade and, doing a weighted average and saying, oh, well, they've been a B- average, so we've got to get rid of them. Yeah. I do think that they probably, as of right now, I would imagine they're surveying the entire organization. They're looking at each division. They're looking at everybody in charge, everybody who's an authority figure, and understanding what they do, how they do it, how are they perceived by the larger organization. And it absolutely does not set a good impression, certainly, that, hey, those two guys voted against this and their voices of authority. I can imagine a situation where there's any concern about, hey, are we listening to Joey and Jesse, or are we listening to Jeannie now? Or what's going on here? And it was different before Mark Walter was involved, where that's just, the BUSS family owns it together. So, like, what are you going to do? Now, this is probably the first opportunity, and it's probably, I would imagine, something like this has been on the mind of Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka for a long time now. And this is something you take to Mark Walter and you say, hey, these two guys voted against the sale. Here's what we think we should do. And Mark might have said, perfect, that's great. This is, let's do it. And that's the way this partnership looks to me right now. So I think the reasons you stated make sense to me. I still find it hard to believe that they came in and exerted them and said, hey, Jeannie, I don't know if we think you should do this. I think it was the other way around. It would make sense to me this early in this kind of co-ownership kind of tenure. But the reasons why Mark Walter would approve it, everything you said makes sense to me.
To your point, this is a quote from that conversation that Dan Wojcicki had for The Athletic with Jesse. Quote, but oftentimes within the organization, it kind of felt like I was being treated like I was working against them. And I guess you could say like an enemy. That was a really loud phrase, by the way.
Yeah.
But the only thing I ever wanted was the most success for this team, the credit, or whoever was involved with those decisions. It didn't really matter as long as it was the best possible thing for the Lakers. You know who isn't wired like that? Old Robbie Deals. Like, that is not how he sees things, I don't think. Raj, what do you make of, because, like, one of the things that in the Slack for in the lounge Slack, one of the things that you have kind of kept on kind of going back to is like, this is great. Like, it's two BUSS siblings. I was texting with somebody and he was like, Jeannie has now fired 3 of her 5 family members. That's kind of crazy. But like, what do you make like when you hear that Jesse and Joey felt like enemies of the organization at times? What does that say to you?
Well, so I don't know if this was reported elsewhere, but Shams just came out and reported today that the Buss brothers were the ones who said no on there. So I'm not sure if that was reported elsewhere, but they did come out and say it. No, it is crazy. And I think they're good at what they do, but I could see how, like, to me, it's wild that they came out publicly and basically said, we are not involved with anything else other than the South Bay and the scouting, right? And so even if I think they're good at their job, and I think Dominic made this point, Anthony as well, you can't have a team where a bunch of compasses are going in different directions, even if they are leading, their division in the right place. You just can't have two people who are going in different direction as the top. So it makes sense. Again, I'm not shocked that this happened. I guess I'm shocked it happened so quickly, but to the point that you guys were making, to me, this is not a performance thing at all. Like, because then why let them choose the two ways? Why let them draft Adu Tierra, right? Who we all like, I think, and I've liked their two ways so far. Chris Magnon, Nick Smith Jr., who has already contributed to winning. Christian Coloco, we'll see how his future holds here in terms of his two-way. But like I've liked the stuff that they've done, but they've already let them kind of choose other players for this season. This, Daman, I agree with you. This just feels like, all right, we're evaluating now. And this is a division where we can not only cut the head off, but just cut everyone out, cut the whole thing out, and just bring a brand new team. All the scouts also let go, which I think is an important distinction here. And I think Jesse Buss mentioned in there that his most enjoyable part of the job was the people he worked that worked for him. And that was the only people he was talking to. He had an illness, I guess, that he was going through, but the only people he was talking to were the people working with Southway and the scouts. And now they just threw that whole division out and is going to bring all new people in. So no one's really left over from that. Just that is so interesting and fascinating to me how, again, two Buss brothers, their lineage is the Lakers. Jerry Buss's whole life was the Lakers. And this is why I never thought a sale would even occur. You guys were disagreeing with me on that, a few months or a year ago, whatever that was. I just never thought that there was a number. And I think these guys are the same way.
Big number.
It is, but for two
Buss sibling gets to be a billionaire.
It is, but for two people who are already like well off, right? Like I can see how they looked at it and went like, we like our job, we want to continue this position, have some hope of more power within this, grow within the organization. And I feel like the sale ended all of that, right? And then they had their new venture that they're going to, which was launched a few months ago. That to me also kind of read the writing on the wall. But it's shocking. And again, I think they were good, at least at their division, but it was never going to go past that. So this breakup was going to happen, whether it happens now, whether it happened in 3 months at the draft, this was always going to occur. And I guess it happens in November.
Daman, to your point about this being something that might have been genie driven, the next line down from Dan's piece reads as followed. I think Mark Walter has had a ton of success, obviously, in the sports landscape, and being able to see what he's done with the Dodgers has been simply amazing. I think the Lakers are in great hands, honestly. Now, I think the team as currently constructed, obviously, it looks like they could definitely make some noise this season, and it's been an absolute thrill to watch them. I think JJ Redick is an absolutely fantastic coach, and I think he's proven that over the last year and some change. And I hope going forward that Mark can bring a lot of what he brought to the Dodgers, because I think if the vision more or less is the same from what I've seen over the last 10 years, then it necessarily isn't always going to lead to the success that Lakers fans have become accustomed to when my dad ran the operations and owned the team.
That was loud. Oof.
Brutal.
And he also, by the way, released a statement to Shams earlier today asking, hey, do you think this is what dad would want?
Yeah.
You think you think he knows how to cut? This is like Succession, by the way. It just feels like the TV show Succession with like just as good a writing.
At the end of the day, like this goes to when we started this conversation about looking at it, the organization, and that there are interesting angles there, but at the end of the day, this is family and makes everything so much more complicated and dramatic and compelling. Like these quotes you get only when it's a family kind of in the family situation. And I will say, like, one of the things I like to do analyzing any situation is not assume the people involved are idiots, not assume the people involved are by default wrong. I think that Joey and Jesse are totally right to be pissed off about everything that's happened. And 100%. I can also say that it probably was the right call to get rid of them, because them being pissed off is not good for the team. And so it's like, I don't disagree with anybody here, really. Like, this is just when a change as big as the change that's going on has happened, Man, there will be fallout. There will be ripple effects, and like this is one of the clearest ripple effects you can imagine. And like you look at when we talk about this being Mark Walter's first move, I look at it as a message to the organization, not about, hey, Joey and Jesse did XYZ, but it's about, hey, we're all on the same page. We're all on the same team. If you don't like, if you're forming schisms in the team and you're being pulled in different directions, we don't have space for that anymore. And so that was this is like another it is like the red wedding in the sense of the red wedding was a message more than just the act itself. Like it was a message to everybody. It was a message internally. It was a message externally. Like, hey,
and it was
there's
more
not
of a
going to be
message than it was
split.
practical because it pissed off a lot of people. Yeah,
Sure. And so it's really interesting from all those points of view.
To Jesse's point about the last 10 years. So the Dodgers over the last 10 years, this is our mutual friend, Jeannie, who does production for the LFR pod. She compiled this. So the Dodgers over the last 10 years, titles in 2020, 24, and 2025, they've reached the postseason every year of the last 10 years. They have racked up wins at like a 65% clip, which is pretty insane to do for this long in baseball.
I've never seen them lose, so I've been a Dodger fan for like 2 years. It's pretty nice.
Yeah,
it's a nice fan experience actually.
Anytime
I've enjoyed the Raj Dodgers
the sport, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the Lakers over the last 10 years, they have the title in 2020, but they didn't reach the postseason in half of the last 10 years. Reached the Western Conference Finals once, and then in the remaining 3, they were out in the first round. So that is, we all grew up. I remember, before basically Dr. BUSS died, the stats about the Lakers' participation in the playoffs and deep into the playoffs were astronomical, where we would go decades before we didn't see the Lakers in the postseason, or we would go decades before we would see a conference finals that didn't have the Lakers in it. Like it would be, you would have long, lengthy stretches where the Lakers were just always very productive. And basically since he died, now we're talking about very different league. And we're talking about a much smarter league than back when Dr. BUSS was running things and his people were running things. But we've also seen kind of an exodus of talent, right? Jerry West shown the door. Pat Riley shown the door. Mitch Kupchak shown the door. Ryan West shown the door. And now Jesse and Joey BUSS shown the door. And a lot of those people, their exits were marked by ill will by the people who are now left behind. And I guess my question to you, Raj, is like from where I'm sitting, there's no other expert. Like there are no more meat shields. This is it, right? Like it is just Jeannie. It is the people that Jeannie has chosen to surround herself with. She's chosen friends over blood in this case, now a few times over. And like there are no other names that she could throw to Mark Walter that wouldn't affect her personally. So how do you think that goes?
Yeah, I mean, again, she's been very clear, and I think she has chosen Rob, right, in all of this. And I think Rob has been smart in terms of being close with the ownership and understanding kind of how to maneuver. But I always say, to me, this started in, what was the year that Magic Johnson just went on TV and burned the organization, whatever season that was, 2019, I believe. And I remember there was something that came out that Rob, Jeannie, and like a few other people were huddled up in a room, right, and just kind of conversating and talking. And to me, that was probably the point where everything kind of separated. It felt like it was Rob, Jeannie, and then everyone else was kind of under that, right? And there was a separation with the BUSS brothers. But this is kind of what happens, I think, when, like, to me, there's no such thing like peaceful transfer of power. That just does not exist. There is no such thing as that. So when a transfer of power occurs, it's ugly. It always is. And I think this is kind of how it looks. But Jeannie's going to run or be the face of it for the next 4 or 5 years. Mark Walter and Jeannie can try to take Mark's, I guess, participation away from this, but I don't think that's really possible. Once you're the owner, you kind of have to stand in the face and kind of stand with the decisions that are made. And Daman, like you said, this is his first big move. Like, this gets put on him. This is his decision that he's made to do this. And so whatever happens after this is on him. Jeannie will take some of the blunt of it for sure, because obviously that's her family. But I just want to go back to the quotes you were reading, and you mentioned, and Anthony, you mentioned this is a family thing. To me, this shows that those two don't talk at all, because there is no way these type of quotes come out if there's any communication. Like, I don't think there's a Thanksgiving dinner coming next week with all of them around the table going, why did you say that? Why did you say this? This is media.
It's funny how often this stuff happens right before Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Right. But this is like media warfare in a way that it's clear that they couldn't get this point across any other way than going through public channels. And so I find this all super interesting, where all these people work in the same building, a beautiful building, by the way, the UCLA Health and Training Center. South Bay Lakers play on Friday, by the way. People come out and support your G League team. But in any case, like, it's a nice place that they all work at, and but none of them talk to each other. I just find that very fascinating in this story. And for them to go public, to me, it shows me that this relationship was dead a long time ago. Today was just a time of death, but this relationship probably died a while ago.
Yeah,
he had said that he hadn't spoken to Jeannie in 5 months, and that he and Rob would only talk when Rob was informing him of the picks that the Lakers were getting ready to make. And look, like that and by the way, there's going to be a lot of CYA here. Now,
sure,
if I were advising people on how to read, because we're going to get a leak off, right? Like, this was Jesse releasing his statement, and his series
on the record.
Statements.
Like, there's a lot of off the record stuff about to come.
Yeah, we're about to get some even more details. Probably going to find out some stuff about Rob that sounds a lot like this.
Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder.
It's going to be a lot of that stuff. Raj, that's Game of Thrones. It was a pretty popular show back in the day.
It wasn't Succession. There's not Succession.
Very similar. It was Succession with dragons. But so, like, I'll be really curious to see, like, what I will say though is that, like, Rob doesn't really, like, if it's a thing that can splash backwards on him, it is the kind of thing that he'll get out there in a leak. Oh, Clutch and LeBron and AD really wanted to trade for Russell Westbrook. And in this case, though, like, he comes out looking like he wins, right? He beat the two BUSS brothers, the people who were not so low key, kind of thinking the seat that he sat in was probably his. It's going to be interesting how all of that plays out. Daman, from a business standpoint and from an organizational standpoint, this is one of the things that I really wanted to get to before you have to get out of here. The last time you were on the show, we talked about the notion of compounding strengths and relying heavily on those strengths, and how the Lakers trading away draft picks to the extent that they was often minimizing the one thing that the organization did well, which was draft scouting and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Now that is gone, right? That, to whatever extent that they may have fallen off, or whatever, if they may have fallen off because of poor choices or because of poor communication, whatever it is, that at least at one point strength is now gone. They still don't have a pro scouting department. They now don't even have the draft scouting department that was operating kind of like their pro scouting department. They are now incredibly thin at a time where all of the scouts that you would want to go out and hire are currently employed. And so, like, from an organizational standpoint, I understand that there are emotional things that might have gone into this, but do you think this was putting emotions over practicality? Was this the time to do this?
I think emotions over practicality. I think it's from whose perspective. From Jeannie and Rob, I would say definitely emotions. Definitely, it was like, this is the first possible opportunity for us to do this, and we're gonna do it, and we're gonna make sure it's very public. And we're gonna do like this full-throated. We're gonna go after all the scouts and we're gonna go after all the people who Joey and Jesse like. Like, we're doing it that way.
And we found out even more. Dave McMenamin tweeted out a second ago that the other scouting personnel that were let go: Sean Buss, Aaron Jackson, Moses Zapata, and Can Pellister, all scouts that were very closely tied to Jesse and Joey.
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, it was a clean sweep, right? But what I'll say for Mark Walter, where this can be very strategic, is you're sending a message to everybody. You're pointing out, this is where you stamp, this is what is most important to me, right? As an owner. And what he does with his division coming up, what his hires will be, what direction he takes, everything, that will establish kind of the direction for everybody. When we talk about organizational culture, it's like, it's not just a handbook of guide of like, this is what we do. It's actually what's in the walls, what's in the fabric, what does the people at the top, what they do, it influences everybody from the top to the bottom, to the janitor, to the whoever, to the caterer, to everything. It influences everything. And so Mark Walter here is sending a message. Hey, we knew that there was a schism between Joey Jesse versus Jeannie Rob. We're not playing that game anymore. That's not going to fly anymore. And depending on who they hire, who they bring in, how many people they bring in, how they evaluate those people, all of those, every single action sends a signal to everybody, whether explicit or implicit. Everybody understands what's going on. When you work in a company and things are going well, you know it, you feel it. And when things are not going well, you don't need somebody to tell you that. You know it and you feel it.
Yep.
And this is where I get fired up when we're talking about organizational stuff. These kinds of moments, these are the first moments, these set the big impressions. These send a signal not only to the people who are let go, not only to people in the scouting department who might still be around, but to the entire team that, okay, guys, things are changing here, and this is how it's going to change. So I'm very interested in that.
I'd say I would extend that out to, it's a statement to the rest of the league.
Sure.
The Lakers being a mom and pop shop that wasn't turning every leaf that they possibly could to be the best organization that they could. Those days are over.
But Dom, you mentioned when things are going well, or it, right? When an organization is going well, that part is so interesting to me, because the team is good. Like they're 11-4, right? And the prosperity is on the horizon, right? You just traded for Luka Doncic, and Anthony, you mentioned Rob. Rob won. He not only won, like the Luka Doncic trade to me. I'm gonna try to do a baseball reference. It was like when the Dodgers got the double play, right, to win Game 7. Like that was it. That was done. Like once he was able to stamp his name on a Luka Doncic, like he won, it was over. There was nothing to me. He's not gonna lose after that. But the team is good. That's what makes this move right now so interesting. And obviously, you can, I guess, judge the end of the bench guys if you want to judge Dalton, and that's another interesting to me. If Dalton was legit good, or if JHS somehow was legit good, he's actually in Philly right now, so we'll see how the G League works out. But like if those two are actually rotation guys, is this easier to do? Who knows? Max Christie obviously was a good name, but it just feels like this was the time that they could really do this. No draft for a while, right? No trades for a while, so now they can kind of get their team in, get a pro scouting department in, and put it in. But that part to me is super interesting, because the team is legit good. Like winning.
But this goes to, that is not the impetus behind this change, right? It's not your job performance. It's not, again, the grade. They're not grading each pick and evaluating that. This is more, hey, are we on the same page here? Are you fully committed? If you're not, then we're not messing around. I think it's not about specifics about how things are working or how things were going pick over pick. It's the overall dynamic, like the structure and the interactions between those wings, and like, hey, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah. No, I would, I made the point about Mark Walter, but while you were just talking, Daman, it kind of struck me that if I'm Jeannie and I'm giving the okay to sell the Lakers, I want my siblings to be in lockstep with me. And we know, by the way, how much she values trust and loyalty and these things. And like Raj, you made the point that once the Luka trade happened, that Rob was a made man. I would actually say that once the Lakers won the 2019-2020 championship, coming on the heels of Magic quitting the way that he did and shitting on the Lakers publicly the way that he did.
That's what did it.
Kobe passed away. The Lakers circle the wagons, win themselves a championship. Rob builds that roster. That's when he was a made man. Like the people who like, because I see it in the chat, Rob's next.
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
Jeannie will never, on her watch, she will never make the call that she made today about, on Jesse and Joey that she would never do that to Rob. She would never be in charge or be seen as being in charge and fire Rob. Maybe they say, hey man, consider retirement and stuff like that, but it would never, like, this was very clearly not a, what's the term that they use? Mutual decision. This was not a mutual decision that was made today. I don't think Jesse and Joey wanted to lose their jobs today. They might have seen it coming, but if Rob ever leaves, it would be because he chooses to leave, and that's because of 2019, 2020, and also because of the ties back to Kobe and all that stuff. And what I will say about Rob, man, that is that dude is a cold mother bleeper when it comes to, like, I think he is very much a believer in unlimited PTO, but at your own risk. Like, you can be out of the office if you want, but I'm gonna note that and keep that in the back. You guys remember the Magic Johnson stuff, right? Where he was walking around the office telling other people that were working there, hey, have you guys seen Magic? You guys he knew Magic wasn't in. You guys see Magic? I haven't seen Magic. Is he he's not in his office again? Huh. How about that? And that wound up playing a role in some of Magic's eventual departure. Daman, any final notes before any final thoughts before you head out of here and either about this or the season that the Lakers are having so far? I personally don't think there's any way that this derails the positive momentum that they have. But is that at all a concern for you?
No, I'm not. I'm really not concerned about it. I think when a new ownership situation happens, there's like a lot of opportunities for you to make changes that don't feel seismic or disruptive. Like, this is seismic and disruptive for us fans who have known the BUSS family for this many years and we're reliant on, we have these memories and all that. But if you're looking at it from new owner came in and is making some changes that doesn't in fact impact anybody on the court, and like Rob Pelinka is still here and he's kind of in charge on the basketball side anyway, so actually nothing like that stuff is not changing. There's organizational change happening, but these are the kinds of changes, and Anthony, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the way Mark Walter went about the Dodgers too, right? It's like, we'll let the current GM and like, you do what you do right now. We're not going to mess with what's on the field, and we will handle what's a layer above, and we'll clean that up first. And so that's another way I think this aligns. But I have angst and like nervous excitement about what's coming next, but I don't have any concerns about its impact on this season. Certainly not at all.
Yeah, if not for Mark Walter's track record with the Dodgers and his recent track record with the Dodgers, I would be pretty nervous right now. But given that the Dodgers have been the behemoth that they have become, specifically on his watch, now look, what I am really curious about are the hires that they're going to make, in the wake of this decision, and how quickly those hires are going to be made, because it is an important part of an organization. It's a part of the Lakers organization that has not been there. And I have been kind of wondering at times if the Lakers were kind of saying, hey, we wanted to bring in more scouts, a pro that might potentially dilute your guys' voice and stuff like that. And the BUSS brothers push back on that. That's been a theory that's been bouncing around in my head. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't think this is going to change much of how the actual basketball is being played this season. Daman, thank you very much for hopping on, man. Especially on short notice. I asked you today if you could hop on tomorrow, and you're like, Well, hey, do you want to talk to me and Raj about it? And you were totally down, so I really appreciate
It's
that.
a lot of
man.
fun.
You're one of the best people I know. Anything that you want to plug before we get you out of here?
Follow me on Twitter. Let's have fun.
Amen to that. Well, that was Daman Rangoola, and we will talk to him soon. Raj and I are going to continue on with your guys' comments and questions and stuff like that. Raj, I'll go ahead and let you talk about LeBron's.
Well, before that, just my final thing that I was thinking about with this is this feels like, I think the beautiful thing about sports, and I think you started the show with this, or Dom did, I forgot who, but in terms of mentioning owners trying to throw money at problems, right? Like, all right, we have an issue with the scouting, let's just throw a bunch of money at it. We have an issue with this, just throw a bunch of money at it. But I think the beautiful thing about sports is that, you can't just buy titles, you can't purchase a championship, even though people think that's what the Dodgers did. They wrote a check, but you still got to be good at development. You got to be, like, to me, scouting department is more than just picking a player you think is good, right? It's, can you develop that player? Do you see skills that can increase at a certain, at a certain pace to get them to the next level? So all that stuff to me is really interesting. So who they hire is super important. And again, I've heard today, let's just go get the guy who's doing it for OKC, right? And just go steal him or something like that. And that'd be kind of an interesting way to look at it. But yeah, I'm just super fascinated who they go and pick with this. Because again, I think this is one of the positive parts of the organization that we've all kind of accepted. Like, hey, this is what they're good at. Like, this room in the house is good. Let's renovate everything else. Like, this room actually is livable.
We just
has a nice
renovated
closet.
this bathroom. We don't need to knock it down.
It has a nice bed in it. Like, that room's good. Nope, we're starting here. And so, but yeah, I'm interested the way they go about this, because this position is very important within a sports team organization, especially in the NBA. Again, I don't follow baseball as closely, but in a salary cap league, like, and where your maxes are decided, the end of the bench kind of two-way guys, right? You have 3 two-way guys that are available to you. This is a very, very important position in the organization, and I think it's why Mark Walter and Jeannie Buss decided this is the place we're going to start with. But yeah, I just want to put that out there as well, that this is a position that's super important, that you can't just go by. Like, this is something that you got to have some care into. But very interested to see the route they take with that.
Yeah, here's what I'll say. Whoever they hire actually does have some decently sized shoes that they are stepping into, right?
Yeah.
There are people who are Jesse and Joey Buss stands out there, given their track record, especially later in the draft. And it's going to be like the first pick that the Lakers make in this post Joey and Jesse Buss era, especially if they don't trade the first round pick that they can trade this year. Like that pick is going to be under quite a bit of scrutiny. And look, like I think honestly, that's something that Mark Walter tends to accept and actually enjoys. He relishes in the brighter lights and the the raised expectations that now Dodgers fans. There are still Dodgers fans coming off of 2 straight World Series. You could search Dave Roberts fired, and there are still Dodgers
I didn't
fans
understand it. I didn't understand it, but again, I'm not within it. I'm not focused enough to have an opinion that matters a lot on that. But I was very confused at the amount of people who wanted the GM fired for back-to-back finals or World Series.
Well, but that's the thing, though, and Mark Walter has actually stated in the past that, like, actually that kind of passion, that kind of drive, those expectations, that's something that we benefit from. And we can't benefit from it on one hand and then be annoyed by it on another. Let's open up the chat here really quickly, and I'm going to. Oh, we have a couple of super comments, which means I get to play this bad boy. All right, the first super chat was just a super chat. Xavier, I appreciate it a ton. That is really cool of you to just send the $4.99 there. If you have a question, you just forgot to include it there, let me know, and I'll go back up through and try to find it. Coach Rome, CD is that's our dude Rome. I'm guessing, right?
Coach's name.
Rome, I got to go on your show. first and foremost. I haven't been on in way too long, so let me know. DM me and let's put that together. Bus Bros were big fans of Rui and Austin. Wonder what ripple effects that will have come deadline. More Rui than AR, obviously. That's a great point. What I will say about Rui is that he has some big fans high up in the organization. Jeannie and Linda Rambus, they are big fans of Rui Hachimura, the basketball player and the person. The Lakers having the most popular Japanese player is something that the business ops people really like as well. So if the Lakers trade Rui, there are going to be some other aspects to whether or not they do that. Not saying that any of that would preclude them from doing so, but he's not like a bus bro guy, is how I would put that. He's well liked throughout the organization.
Right, and he's not seen as this way, but you could tell just the way he's talked about. He's seen as an organizational win, right? Got him for Kendrick Nunn and a few second rounders from the Wizards, and how much he developed here is you can question, but he's turned into a good, solid player. He has weaknesses, not just high up. I think if you ever hear JJ Redick talk about Rui Hachimura, he's high on him, right? There's a reason why he continues to start, and I think will continue to start. Luka Doncic's because he's got a fan in Luka Doncic, it seems. Those two seem pretty close now.
Argue about who can speak English better, yeah.
But yeah, I think Rui's just turned himself into a solid player, and I think I said this when we traded for Dorian, and kind of D'Lo went out the door. Rui took the cape for player that will be thrown in most trades, right? D'Lo threw it to him. The baton went from Russell Westbrook to D'Angelo Russell to Rui Hachimura, but that baton gets passed around to different players, and I think he holds it now. But the Lakers do, I think, see him in higher regard than a lot of the fans do. So yeah, I just don't think he's going to be given away. He's also on expiring, so there's some contractual stuff that have some reasoning why they would move him. But I don't think it affects AR at all. Like, I think the Lakers just love Austin Reeves, so I doubt that has anything to do with this move. But Rui is an interesting question, and the other two-way guys I think also is interesting, right? Nick Smith Jr., especially as a guy that we'll see if he keeps his and how they kind of maneuver through that with two-way guys that weren't picked by the new regime. So we'll see how that works. But Rui and Austin, I don't think it impacts them that much, because the Bus brothers, I don't think, and they're publicly admitting, would not be involved in these type of trade discussions anyway. So they would have no say whether,
to their own point,
they wanted to trade Rui or not, right? They probably don't get a say in that, or didn't have a say in that.
I can probably share this now, but Jesse and Joey Buss, so there's the line that they give where they were like finding out what the Lakers were thinking about doing in the media, before they heard about it or knew about it and stuff like that. I have heard that they specifically didn't like that some blogger who lives out in Texas was reporting some of that stuff before they quote unquote knew about it. And so, yeah, that was, it's going to be interesting. The thing that I always respected about Jesse and Joey is that, like you're talking about, Raj, they were like, to use the Twitter term, they were real hoopers, right? They love basketball, and no, like, until they are replaced fully, I think the Lakers, or at least like the upper reaches of the Lakers organization, they're going to miss having basketball lifers like that, because like Rob is an agent. He played obviously at Michigan and stuff like that, but he wasn't really involved in the day-to-day operations of a basketball team up until the last, however many years. Obviously Kurt Rambis has been a basketball lifer, but his experience isn't always the best experience. And so like Jesse and Joey Buss were basketball lifers who had a real track record. And that's kind of difficult to come by when you limit the talent pool to the extent that Jeannie Buss does.
Yeah, and so what I'll say is attendance doesn't always equal competency, right? Nor does love either, right? Like, loving something doesn't mean you're good at it either. But just from the outside, at least, again, seeing them at South Bay games, like just it seemed like they were really good at their division. And maybe if they were promoted, they wouldn't be good at that, right? But I think from their mind, they're looking at it like, man, we'd love a shot at it, like you know what I mean. And so, and it makes sense. Like their last name is Bus. Their last name like is literally, their dad literally was they're in the bloodline of the Lakers. So I just all this, and I think Daman put it pretty perfectly that everyone's right here. Like no one's wrong. Like Jesse and Joey are 100% entitled to their opinion, and they could be correct in that. And the Lakers with Jeannie and Mark Walter can 100% be correct and go, you're allowed to feel that way. I don't have to work with you while you feel that way. And so everyone's correct here. And this is just a decision that had to happen. I'd be interested to see if they keep their stake within the team. They're young enough to.
They said they are.
They are okay. Well, I mean that's today. But I'm interested if they get the itch to work, and I just doubt they're gonna come back and work for like the Lakers in an even lower division or whatever it is. So I'd be interested to see if they're back in, I guess, the NBA world doing something. Cause obviously when you're a minority owner of an NBA team, you can't go and work for a different one. And so I'll be interested to see if they keep that. But yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, again, I don't know how confident they actually were. I'm not in the room. No one is. Everyone wants to put their name on things that work. That's just how life is, right? So Austin Reeves is a name that I'm sure everyone wants their name attached to. You can find 10 different stories on why Austin Reeves is a Laker. And I'm sure everyone would put their part in. Well, I saw him here. Like you don't really like, you know what I mean? So a lot of stuff you really don't know. Just like no one wants to put their name on JHS. It's very easy to put that name on everybody, but whoever selected it. So you just don't know. But just from the outside, it seemed like they kind of knew what they were doing. But that doesn't mean that there aren't improvements that can be made. And I think Mark Walter is correct to make his decision. And I think, Jesse and Joey Buss are correct to kind of feel how they feel. And that's where we are.
Let's wrap on actual basketball, Raj, because you were there in the building.
Yes.
You were there in the building for LeBron's debut the other night. A fun game. Didn't exactly start the way that I think we were kind of hoping. It started the way that I kind of thought it would, though. Like,
sure,
there's a bet that can be placed where it's like first to 10 points, and Utah was heavy underdogs, and I didn't think they should be. But or it was the first of 15. I think it's either 10 or 15, depending on the book. But yeah, I thought there was a lot to like offensively. I think that there are certainly still some defensive concerns. What was your kind of biggest takeaway from what you saw there being in the building?
To me, that's the vision, right, of what we saw. I was talking to our mutual friend Miriam, and telling her kind of LeBron's shot selection, shot amounts will tell me a lot of how this thing is gonna go. And he's not gonna take 7 shots, in a lot of games, but I think Luka getting he doesn't have to get 37, but Luka getting his 30, Austin getting his 25, and LeBron doesn't have to again get double-digit assists every night, but 12 assists, and just being a playmaker. Like to me, that second half, it was funny. The spread was 13, and I was telling somebody, they were like, "Yeah, they won by 14 or something like that," which is funny how it worked out. But no, LeBron being able to playmaker from the post, from the top, being the off-ball kind of guy next to Austin in second units. To me, this was a great team that's been hiding in plain sight. Kind of LeBron kind of fills a lot of he's a connective tissue in a lot of ways for this team, where a guy like Laravia, Rui, Smart, all kind of get pushed down a tier in a responsibility, and it just ups their talent. You know what I mean? Like it puts all of them in places where Laravia doesn't have to be a on-ball shot creator for many possessions. Smart doesn't have to be your second ball handler in units. He's now your third or tertiary ball handler. Like it just opened a lot of stuff up. But LeBron looked in midseason form. That was shocking to me live. Like guy had not played an NBA game and comes out right away with 30. We see 22-year-olds in the NBA have like minute ramp ups. Like, oh, he's on a 15-minute restriction tonight. He's got 20 minutes tonight. Nope. LeBron comes in right away, 27, 28 minutes. And JJ after the game said LeBron could have went, more if they need him in the fourth quarter. That is just nuts. In transition, he's still a monster. Like his impact was felt right away. And I think Anthony, he understands what he has. Like he has the best backcourt in basketball and a talented team. Him and Ayton's chemistry looked amazing after the first quarter. Looks like LeBron put into a supercomputer, this is what Ayton likes, and this is what we need. And right away, his brain was like able to dish it. And he's I don't think any player ever will be able to match the brain with a 40-year-old body that he has. Like that's just unprecedented. And so that kind of stood out. But that's the vision to me. That's how it should look. They don't want to give up 120 points or whatever. Like defensively, there's things to work on. Smart starting is probably something that down the road that they can get to. But this offense is going to be tough to guard with all three of them.
Did you see the Matrix movies? Did you ever watch those?
So as a kid, I watched the one
with like the bullet.
Yes.
All right, so that was the first
Reloaded, one. Right?
That was first. That was the first one.
That's the first one. Okay, that's the one I saw.
I believe actually in that movie, in that scene even, there's a moment where one of the characters steps into a helicopter and is like, I have to learn how to fly this helicopter. And it was like, she calls back to like the base or whatever. It was like, upload how to fly Comanche helicopter. Let me know how to do. And it was like, and then she was like, okay, now I know how to fly this helicopter.
Yeah.
And I feel like watching LeBron play that game, he felt out in the first half. He's like, kind of like, all right, this is how I need it. This is how I help you guys win. And in that, because it was in the third quarter that like the game really swung on those 5 straight assists that he dished out, right? I think that's the video that you're working on or you finished for Offside, right?
Yeah, just went up. I know that's not the topic of today, but I cut all that film. I was like, I'm getting this up. Like I do not care. This was important for me. This has got to go up today.
But so like but like in that stretch, it was really like he sat down in that helicopter and was like, I need to learn how to fly this helicopter, and then got uploaded. Oh, okay, that's how you fly this helicopter. I'm just gonna be Rajon Rondo on the Captain America Super Serum, and also with a 3-point shot. Like that's the thing that is going to be so fun to watch here. Is that was. Like one of the things that is often said about rookies is if a rookie is playing well or has a good rookie season, you're like, and this is the worst we're going to see this guy until he's in his like final few years. And like the offense that we saw from the Lakers, a game in which they scored 140 points, that's the worst potentially that we might see this offense while they try to figure this out on the fly. And they'll now have the reps to do it, right? Like I don't believe they practiced today.
No.
But they'll have film sessions and they'll practice tomorrow, and they'll be able to go through, some of the stuff that their takeaways from that game. And then Sunday's going to be another fascinating one that I expect LeBron to play in again. Yeah. And everybody to play in again. Nobody got hurt in that game. And I think that this is going to be one of the better offensive teams. I feel pretty confident saying that if everybody stays healthy, you look at the offenses at the end of the season, and the Lakers will have a top 3 offense in the sport.
Yeah, they practice today. They won't practice tomorrow. But I don't remember a time, Anthony, that the Lakers had no one on there. I'm gonna knock on wood, but I don't remember the last time the Lakers had everybody healthy. Like I don't even remember a status report where every single player was available in the last 3-4 years. There's been Vando nursing something. Gabe Vincent was always nursing something. AD and LeBron, have took kind of turns missing games. But you have the whole squad, and LeBron coming back in November, like really puts you in a really good position where you can get a bunch of practices in, you can get a bunch of reps in. Right, this isn't getting LeBron back in February or whatever it is, or having the Luka trade happen in February. So, looks like a team connected. Again, winning kind of creates bonds, right? Like winning creates a lot tighter bonds when you're, playing well. It's just you gel quicker, you gel with more reason and meaning. So, the team is playing well. Again, 11-4, winning at a 70% whatever winning percentage, and getting a superstar back. And so. A lot of conversation of are the Lakers better with him or without LeBron. I always thought that was just really misguided. So Lakers look great with LeBron, and we'll see what they do on Sunday.
Arthur Johnson, as we approach the buzzer, Irwin, did you recant your statement about Adu not playing this year? He seems like a keeper so far. Not quite. I'm not quite there. Ugh. There's just too many guys. There's too many veterans that I think are going to continue to play above him. But I will say, based on what we've seen from him now in 2 games, he's better than the typical second rounder. Like, I see the path to him helping a little bit this season. I don't know that he's going to get consistent minutes next season for sure, though. I think he's a rotation player next season.
You know what he reminds me of a lot? In the 29, no, who? Oh, Scottie Pippen, not yet. In the 2009-2010 season, I believe this was before he made the rotation, but Shannon Brown would come in and the whole team would be like, oh, like something's gonna happen, right? And nothing's even happened yet.
Who's he gonna catch?
Right. And so like the whole team is just prepared, and Adu's already gotten 2 dunks in his 2 appearances, and these are like nasty, mean, aggressive dunks. It's not no normal like, oh, I just dunked it. He's like looking to destroy the rim, and whoever's in his way, he does not care. And that's a really fun archetype to have. And I do think he just looks like a guy that doesn't look rattled by being on the floor, right? He looks like, I'm supposed to be here. Like I'm supposed to be in the rotation, and that's really surprising for a young player. So again, I'm with you. I don't know if he'll make the rotation, but he definitely has a few guys looking behind, like, oh, like that guy's behind me. Like, oh, okay, like that guy can take my spot in some ways. So we'll see. But that dude's a super exciting player, one of the most exciting athletes I think we've had as a young prospect in a while.
I think Adu Thiero is probably one of the better reasons for consolidating the roster, right? Trading away maybe a couple rotation guys and maybe opening up the back end of the rotation for him, maybe. But I need to see more than 2 games of him before I'm really willing to go that far. All right. I think that's going to do it here for this. I just want to make sure I thought I saw an extra one, but all right, we didn't. Raj, anything that you want to plug before we get you out here?
Yeah, I just dropped a little 2-minute breakdown of LeBron's assist, on Twitter on Offside as well. So go check that out. And I'll be rewatching the game one more time tonight. I have some time, so we have until Sunday.
You want to rewatch The Matrix?
No.
Have you checked out Pluribus, the new Apple show from the guy who made Breaking Bad?
I thought you made that word up. I saw you tweet it, and I have no idea what that is. I have no interest in knowing what that word is. So,
the first episode was a mind bleep. I went into it intentionally not knowing anything about it. Like
what does that mean?
All trailers, avoided all analysis and critiques of the show. Like, did not partake in the conversation at all. Mm-hmm. And it was really glad that I did. Like, it was a really good, fun show in that way. But yeah, I couldn't really tell you what it's about. Like,
what does that honestly, word mean?
I could tell you what it was about. I don't want to tell people what it's about because I don't want anybody to listen to this show and not be able to go into that show blind. Like, that show you're supposed to go into it blind. And
okay.
Yeah, so
you could spoil it for me. It's okay.
I'll text you. I'll text you what it's about, but I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody else.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Our friends at Offside. We are all us. Yeah, exactly. That's a line from the show, just so you know. But
I have no idea what that means. So.
Join Offside. That's the company we both work for.
No, we are all us.
What, offside soccer? All right. That is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lounge podcast. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you to Daman for hopping on short notice. Thank you to you, Raj, for hopping on as well and sharing that space with Daman as well. You were pretty psyched that we were all going to get together like that. No show tomorrow. It is one of the rare Fridays I am going to take off, except I'm not, because I'm going to be doing Alan Sliwa's show in the morning, bright and early for you guys on the West Coast. So you can check me out there for then, and then until Sunday when actually, Raj, you and I are going to be talking about that game, right?
Yes, I believe so. It's a road game, right?
Yeah, they play in Utah on Sunday. So Raj and I will be back here in the lounge on Sunday to recap that game. So to make sure you don't miss it, hit that subscribe button, hit that turn on notifications. Apparently there are notifications on YouTube. That's aggressive, but if you want to do that for us, awesome. Hit that like button here, hit that share button, and then until the next time you guys hear from us, have a great rest of your weekends. Make somebody else's, and I will talk to you. We will talk to you on Sunday.